Throughout the ages, people have looked in awe at the world around them. And in doing so, humanity has come up with many complex theories to describe it. However, the closer we look, we discover that in its most basic form, everything in the universe is simply vibration.
Иже еси на небесе, да святится имя Твое, да приидет царствие Твое, да будет воля Твоя, яко на небеси и на земле. Хлеб наш насущный дашь нам днесь, и остави нам долги наши, яко же и мы оставляем должником нашим.
One of the most dynamic forms of vibration is something we call life. When people desire vibrant health, they are really just looking to get in sync with this vibration of life. Within the human body, the brain is the master controller for all functions, both physical and mental. The brain produces its own vibrations in the form of brain waves. These waves fluctuate with the perceptions of our minds and dictate reactions within our bodies.
Psychophysics views all matter, including the human body, as bioelectromagnetic matter that vibrates in waves with a specific oscillation frequency. The cosmos has certain forms of wave energy, and all living things have their own unique wave energies and key energy membranes. When their wave rhythms and key energy membranes have been damaged by the environment or by stress, the cells in our bodies send out a signal called disease. In particular, the human brain emits certain electromagnetic waves, called brain waves, according to a person's activity and relative circumstances. Brain waves are divided into gamma waves, beta waves, alpha waves, theta waves, and delta waves.
But those two cerebral hemispheres in your head are in fact two scalar potential generators and functions. And under just the right circumstances, they can indeed generate fields on the bottom and energy on the bottom, or convergence or cooling on the bottom of your feet. And you can in fact walk across coals.
Cerebral brain hearts, the human being also has a Tesla scalar interferometer between his ears. And since the brain and nervous system processes avalanche discharges, it can produce and detect scalar Tesla waves to at least a limited degree, hence a human can sometimes produce anomalous spatiotemporal effects at a distance and through time. This provides an exact mechanism for psychokinesis, levitation, psychic healing, telepathy, precognition, postcognition and remote healing.
The brain is divided into the brainstem, which manifests natural healing ability, the paleocortex, which controls vital functions, and the neocortex, which handles thinking and cognition. The brainstem and paleocortex have been increasingly suppressed by various types of environmental pollution, stress, irritation, and shock. Thus atrophied, they have become unable to perform their complete functions. In contrast with this, the cerebrum, or neocortex, has grown corpulent as the frequency and scope of its use have expanded.
John Montgomery here. I want to tell you about a project I call my thinking cap. It's basically like any ordinary hat, except it changes color depending on my brain activity. I'm currently finishing up my PhD in neuroscience, so I decided to make this hat to see what was possible to be developed at the interface of neuroscience, new technology, and fashion. So to give you some background, there are around 100 billion neurons in the brain. That's more neurons inside your head than there are stars in a clear night sky. So to prevent total chaos, the brain uses synchrony. That's to say, neurons in the brain, when they fire together, they're better able to communicate with one another than if they're firing out of sync with one another. So, when many neurons in the brain synchronize with one another, it actually creates large voltage fluctuations that can be recorded from electrodes placed on the scalp. And in fact, the brain uses synchrony at many different frequencies. So, if I focus my attention, I may be able to increase my gamma frequency oscillations and turn this frontal part of the cap bright red. So I'll give it a try. It's also possible that if I close my eyes and I relax, I may be able to increase my alpha rhythms and turn this back part of the hat red. So let's give that a try. All right. Closing my eyes. Now.
But the new Earth is happening now. The vibrations and frequencies are changing, and it's going to move into a totally new dimension. Now, when that happens, it's a separation of the two. This is what's very hard to understand. I've asked them many times, and I keep asking more questions. They said, we don't have all the answers because this has never happened in the history of a universe before, that an entire planet will shift into another dimension. They said it's the greatest show on Earth. The ETs, everybody in space is watching this to see, can we pull it off? It's a big thing that's going to happen. And the new Earth is going to be glorious. It's going to be wonderful. And that's where the majority of us are headed, as long as we understand what's going on. This is what's happening now, the awakening, the enlightenment. Those who understand what's happening, the ones into metaphysics, the ones who are thinking along this line, will definitely go to the new Earth.